Hi, I am so glad you came by. I have a new book I just found out about. It's one of my new favorites called I Am Perfectly Designed by Karamo Brown. And it's also with Jason Rachel Brown and Anusha Syed. And here on the front, we have a dad and a little boy, his son, and they're sitting on a bench. And it looks like they must be in the park because it looks like the bench is on the grass. And so we're going to read this book and we're going to work on saying all of the parts of these words perfectly designed. It's called maintaining syllable number. It's kind of fancy. And then we're also going to work on finding these words
I,
and
you,
on our touch chat. All right. I
I,
am perfectly designed by Caramel Brown. Oh, look at all these people. And the end sheet of the book, it shows a big picture of a lot of people doing things. And it looks like there's some friends that giving high fives. Here's a dad walking with his son. Here's a lady who's a crossing guard. She's holding up a stop sign. Somebody up here has balloons. There are some people with dogs. Now, oh, and this person this it looks like a young person has a skateboard and two dogs. That looks so fun. I
I,
am perfectly designed. Oh, and here's this boy, and he is running, and there's a lot of bluebirds all around him, and everybody looks pretty happy. The boy and the birds. Ah, first there was you, Dad, and I want you to look at this. There's some skinny letters, and that's when the boy is talking. And then there's some fat letters, and that's when the dad is talking. So I'm just going to let you know who's talking. Now it's the boy who's talking. First, there was
you,
you, Dad, and then there was me. And now there is us. And then the dad says, that's right. There is us. And then the boy says, when you first saw me, you said he is perfectly designed from his head to his toes. And the dad says, and I meant every word, still do. And the boy says, when I was a baby,
I,
I looked just like you. Only I had no hair and you had lots. There's a picture of the dad and the baby, little baby boy. And the dad has a lot of hair. But over here in this picture where the baby boy's grown up, the dad doesn't have that much hair. He's what you call bald. Interesting, huh? And then there's another photograph over here, a picture of the boy in his swim trunks, maybe at the beach, maybe in a pool. Here's our next page, and the boy and his dad are going down some steps, and it looks like they live in the city. The boy says, the first thing I remember is being carried on your shoulders while you walked me all over the city. They walk a lot in the city to see stuff. That sounds like so much fun. Remember that? I had such a big baby head. He says, I had a big baby head. And then the dad says, oh, indeed, but your big baby head was perfectly designed for
you,
for you. That's right. Here they are. When he was a baby and he had a big baby head. Now he's just got a normal sized kid head, I guess. All right. Oh, here it's nighttime. And the boy says, when I was real little, I thought you could touch the moon. Remember that? We'd sit on the roof and reach for it. And here it looks like it's nighttime. Everything's kind of blue, and you see the dad and the boy sitting together, pointing up at the beautiful stars and the moon. The stars are shaped like little designs made of lines, and then the moon is like a big C. And the dad says, "One day you'll be big enough to reach it yourself, but until then, it's perfectly fine to ask for help." Let's see here. Oh, here is the boy and the dad. And the boy says, "Remember when we went as syrup and waffles for Halloween, Dad? Can you see that? There is a picture, and it looks like you can tell it's the autumn. And the boy's dressed up like a waffle. And then the dad has a shirt that says he is maple syrup. And in the background, you can see some other kids dressed up. And there's a dog who's dressed up like a bumblebee. And then the dad says, "Ha! I do. I do remember that." And the boy says, "That was awesome. I wonder what will be this year." What do you think they might be this year? Over here where they're saying that, there's a picture, and they're walking in the springtime, and they're remembering the autumn when they had Halloween, and he's saying, "I wonder what will be this year." So he's kind of thinking of the future. On the next page, the boy says, "When I run in the park, jump in the park, and climb trees in the park." Here is a picture of him throwing and jumping and up in a tree. And he says, when I pretend that I am a statue in the park, you remind me that I am perfectly designed. There's a lot of parts to those words. Perfectly designed to explore the world. Yes, and you always will be, is what Dad says. And here, the boy is pretending to be a statue, and the dad has a camera. Well, maybe it's his phone. He's taking a picture. Because that boy sure does make a good statue, doesn't he? A young man. Oh, and this is a nice page. It doesn't have any words on it. You can see a blanket that's on the grass, and there's some things to eat. And sometimes if there's a blanket on the grass with things to eat, we call that a picnic. And so these guys hanging out together, the dad and the son, are just laying back. They're kind of in the shade, but they are looking up at the sky. They're very relaxed. It looks like they're having a great, great day. "Sometimes, Dad," the boy is saying now, "sometimes, Dad, when I get mad," and here's a picture of him, his face looks mad, "or sad," and here's a picture, his face looks kind of sad, and he has a speech bubble with tears in it, "or confused," and over here, down here, there's a picture of him being kind of confused when he ties his shoes. And he keeps talking. He says, "You wrap me in your arms, and I like that. I like it." And now the dad talks, and Dad says, "Me too, and I remind you that you are perfectly designed and wonderful no matter what you're feeling. You can have all kinds of feelings and still be perfect." Oh, here it looks like they're walking in a market. There's all kinds of people in stands shopping, and then there's people selling things. Here's a bakery stand with cupcakes and bread, and a fruit stand that has some melons and some berries and strawberries. Oh, and here's another vegetable stand with lettuces or cabbage. I love cabbage. And here's a lady with a little dog. And the boy and his dad are in the market, and the boy's looking up at the dad, and he says, "When I grow up and leave home, will you miss me?" I forgot to do this. When I grow up and leave home, will you miss me? Will you go into my room and play with my new race cars and stuffed animals? And the dad says, "You know that I will. I will do that." Will you sit on the fire escape and feed the pigeons like we do in the summer? The dad says, "The pigeons and the sparrows." And here he says, "Will you remember our favorite moves?" And he's talking about their dance moves, because look right there, they are dancing. And dad says, "I will, and I'll invent some new ones too." Let's see. There they are. It looks like they're almost back at home. Looks like it's kind of sunset, because the sky and the background looks all kind of purple. And there's a lady down the street walking with a little kid in a stroller. And the boy says, "Dad, will you always think of me?" And here's just their heads together. They're very close. And the dad says, "Always." And the boy says, "You know what, Dad?" Dad says, "What?" And the boy says, "I will always remember walking through the city and sitting on your shoulders. And maybe when you are older and I am taller, what do you think they might want to do? I can carry you on mine, because we are perfectly designed for each other." And the dad says, "That's right." And I love this story so much. I hope you enjoyed it and you get to watch it some more. And I'll see you again later on. Bye bye.